Welcome to another edition of What the Fuck happenings in the YouTube psychotic community. Probably a fair description. From the Inmendum perspective. Yeah. So, I guess we'll do junk first or something. And then we'll do shit. Then we'll do garbage. In that order or something like that. So yeah, I don't know. It's all in a way. It's all drama. Philosophy is somehow drama, because of the extremism of the belief systems. There's no getting around it. It all turns into some sort of saint against evil kind of thing, or right against wrong. You know, kind of an extreme kind of thing. Retarded versus logical. It's very, very strange to me. Just the idea of this occurring to me that this really wasn't about something you fixed in some sort of, like, you found out what was broken and you apply some oil, or you put a new part in, or you do something and it's fixed. And the machines are fundamentally different machines. There's no replacing the parts. They're just, there's nothing, you can't take an idea from my head and put it in these retard heads and have it work the same, because it gets eaten up by the wrongness, of their spin, however you want to put it. And it's irritating. Just makes the battle that much tougher, because you're battling with stuff rooted deep in psychology and an intractability. So anyway, in one of his sillier videos, Fake Sagan makes this point somehow that there's no changing people, and I think he's going to change people with silly 2,000-year-old redescriptions of the Christian religion. Well, yeah, people who are stupid. I mean, again, I don't know, you might be able to brainwash somebody with that crap, but you can't argue that crap. I mean, most religious people are born, not made. And there's reason for that, because you really can't fool a working brain. You can only fool the maturating brain. But anyway. And once they're fooled, once they're conditioned to this religious crap, apparently they all fall back to it eventually. They all, get sucked back into the gravity of that initial stupidity, or that, childhood fears and nonsense. The boogeyman comes back to, eat the zombie corpse, or however you want to metaphor it. But anyway, but it just seems such a silly statement in a way, just because obviously people every day are, ideas are influential, and they do something you wouldn't expect them to do because somebody makes an argument or shows them a picture or some other kind of bullshit. So anyway, yeah, good people go bad over little nonsenses. They end up voting for a Trump or something. So, just lots of little bits of nonsense everywhere. Videos you say, well, I should make an argument, I should do some, but it's just not even worth it. One that sticks out is, Brett Keane uses this atheism is evil argument by just showing, Tong and Hitler and Stalin and Uri Geller and bombacity. I guess it was Stalin and Khrushchev, not Khrushchev, Mussolini. Or is that the guy who's a Syrian leader? Anyway, this is really Assad or something. He obviously wasn't religious, but obviously the biggest holocausts, really realistically, I mean, the destruction of the Incas, the South American Indians and the North American Indians, all wiped out by good Christians, and these genocides were almost complete genocides. Christians killed the Egyptians, wiped out a thousands of year old civilization. it's just a silly argument. This you know, it's preposterously silly. Think of all the slaughters of all the civilizations by the Christians in the Crusades. You know, civilizations we've never even heard of, wiped out before they even got on the history book, written in the book. Just a, yeah, crap arguments from crappy people. I guess we'll go into some of the drama on the Brett Keane. Apparently he was duped by some guy, and this guy is apparently trying to sell his dupery to maybe the drunken peasants, you know, give them the insider dope, you know, in exchange for some kind of prize of some kind. Having a bunch of recordings of Brett Keane. And who could care? As Brett Keane sort of points out, everything I say public. Yeah, he's already in public been so wishy-washy and vacillating in everything he believes in that it couldn't really matter what he says, because yes, from his public videos you can get quotes of him saying something horrible about somebody and the next minute saying something wonderful about them. Even the Paul's ego thing, he apologized to Paul's ego, which was hilarious in the sense that Paul's ego was the one who threatened his family. And clearly Brett's, you know, trying to engineer himself a permanent seat somewhere in the vicinity of the drunken peasant show, is he needs a show. You know, he's an important man, and needs an important place in the world. But don't we all have that sense? And it almost seems like fake Sagan's maneuvering for some permanent role in, you know, dramadom. But it's so lame that there's not much one can say. He made a video titled, just for the viewing audience, Fake Sagan pwns the drunken peasants, and it was, you know, he uses the term weak sauce. Yeah, it was just weak sauce. What was the pwnage? I'll show a funny image of Galen and the Amazing Atheist. That's the pwnage. There wasn't anything in there that sounded like pwnage. There wasn't anything in there that sounded like, oh, I got you. Oh, TJ runs scams now and then to make money. Yeah. He sells advertising, and Paul's ego has become just a mouthpiece for the bullshit. Like, you know, and he's already done that. I mean, it's quite obvious that Paul's ego is doing that. I mean, he sits there and, you know, patronizes the audience by reading their name for contributing, and oh, you're just such wonderful people, and I'm sure we'd hang out together if, you know, if only we could, and oh yeah, maybe I'll see you at the next hangout. You know, maybe you'll be one of those fat, stupid-looking people in the crowd of fat, stupid-looking people. Because Paul doesn't think he's fat, which is kind of funny. So anyway, well, anyway, it's all kind of hilarious just because fake Sagan was doing all this, you know, he's giving catechism lessons one day and the next day he's doing this crap, and I can't be a Christian because I just can't be Christian, but I certainly believe in Christianity. So he believes in an eternal damnation and a precious soul, and it's Jesus died for it. He hung on a cross and suffered for your sins to make you a better world, and yeah, fuck that. I just can't be bothered. I really believe he did it, and I really believe he's Son of God, and I really believe all that crap, but I just can't be all that fucking invested. I can't get all that fucking horny for any of that shit. Bullshit. You mean you can't really get horny for the idea that that bullshit is the truth, and you just can't say the words, you know, because you're still got some kind of little kitty fairy, little pussy is still, a little pussy child is still roaming around in your brain, is scared of superstitions. You know, you're afraid the crack on the sidewalk is going to break your mommy's back. You know, fake things always talking about how he has daddy issues. What I think you really have is mommy issues, to tell you the truth. I think mommy let you down. She didn't protect you. See, my mommy wouldn't have let my stepdaddy or something harm me. My mommy thought I was sort of precious. Yeah, so she wouldn't let no stepdaddy hold no guns to my head or shit. She, you know, mommy would have put on her Wonder Woman suit and she would have lassoed him and giving him a good kicking out of the fucking house. Yeah. So I think what you really have is mommy issues. You're a little pissed off at women, and because your mommy was just a fucking whore, just laid down for any old man with a big gun and, you know, talked fancy. Any fancy talker, and she was, you know, spreading her legs. So yeah, that's why you got to punch a woman in the face now and then. It's, you know, you're really punching your mama, not your daddy, not your stepdaddy. But anyway, I don't want him to be doing a bunch of psychological diagnosis, because I couldn't really give a rat's fucking ass, because what Fake Satan clearly is insane. And it is kind of funny, because he kind of assured the drunken peasants that, oh, it's okay, we can do this ponage fun thing, because I'm not going to go psychotic and shoot up the place. Yeah, right. I'm sure they're feeling really confident that they can get into some mega battle with the crazy Fake Sagan, and they don't have to worry at all that this kook with his guns, his 2 AK-47s that he's ready to take on the Chinese tank army with, he's not going to, you know, decide when he's going out, he might as well take out the trash. So when it's going out day, he'll take out the trash. You know. It's a perfectly reasonable way to think, but it's really a bad bit of logic when it's in the brain of a psychotic. You know, that's the part where it all goes wrong. You know, good rational sense, take out the trash, doesn't really work when it's in the hands of some asshole who can't figure out what trash really is. So anyway, that's the problem. But yes, you do have to worry about touching Fake Sagan off. I mean, saying the wrong thing to Fake Sagan, because yeah, he's going to do his gun nut thing on you. And there's absolutely no reason for anybody to think he's a safe guy. He admits he can't even stop hitting women. He's even worried he might hit his own kid. So for fuck's sake, we're supposed to be assured that, oh yeah, he's not going to go wacky. And, you know, he already stated that he was going to come to my house. And man, when I saw that video, I was going to jump in my car and, you know, load up to go beat the shit out of somebody. I was going to go drive a couple of 1,000 miles, you know, to punch somebody in the face. And everybody's supposed to think, oh yeah, this is perfectly fine. Oh yes, let's go play with Dynamite Sagan. So anyway, but yeah, loop-de-doo. I mean, this is, you know, I mean, it's just pathetic. It's pathetic that he does this archaic religious shit, and then he jumps to this, look, I'm being new and modern, and then, you know, and it's just totally lame. And poning people, you know, in this manner anyway, went out with all intellectual reason. There's nobody smart enough on the internet to even understand any kind of articulate ponage. So the only kind of ponage that works is, ha ha, I made you shit your pants, or, you know, ha ha, I made boogers fly out of your nose, or, you know, some sort of, you know, it has to be stinkier and smellier. That's the only thing that means anything. Like you poisoned their food or something. You have to do something insanely stupid to win any kind of poning war. Or owning war, as I like to consider it. I always thought it was a better metaphor for ponage, was just another way of saying ownage. You know, you be my bitch kind of thing. But whatever, you know, people have their own way of looking at things. So, you know, until Fake Sagan fixes this icon, he's already self-pwned. I mean, this Redeker one is okay. You know, but we know that's not really Fake Sagan anymore. You have to do some acting to bring back, you know, to regenerate that kind of, you know, quality to his persona, because he really has kind of turned into this. Anyway. So yeah, it's just all quite dismal and horrid and terrible and shit. So I do have a list of things I told myself to mention, but I don't know if they're going to be worth it. Just dismal. You know, I did make it another week, but just barely. I was feeling a little better, but just feeling like crap today. But it's not really your problem, but it's, I think there's just I have a malaise problem. Because yeah, ooh, this is just nothing, you know, nothing to chew on here. Let's see. So, oh yeah, that's what we do. Well, that's not really ponage. So anyway, so we did the weak thing. We did the let's see, straight dope. Well, yeah. So Fake Sagan did let loose a little bit of something that was kind of a curious statement, where he said him and straight dope are working on some kind of collaboration. I hope this isn't it, because man, that was nothing. Still can't think of something in there that was any kind of ridicule. I mean, he ridiculed Paul's ego for thinking that he might have been, that Paul might have been emotionally damaged by being robbed at gunpoint and, left naked in the brush or something. And it does seem like that kind of an experience might do something to you psychologically. So that doesn't seem like much of an accusation by Fake Sagan, because he's so tough. He's endured it all. And he's not at all psychologically damaged. I mean, that was the funny part of it, is that Fake Sagan really does think he's not completely unhinged. He thinks he's got a hinge that actually still works somewhere inside of him. And he is as unhinged as they come. So, I mean, it's just kind of funny. He's totally PSD-A'd or all over the place or whatever that shit is. He's postal, in every functional way. And here he is talking about how, look, I survived it. Well, apparently you didn't survive it, asshole. You have daydreams of holding off the Chinese army with your AK-47s. That's the definition of somebody who's not very well glued together. Crazy glue. Yeah, that's a guy with some crazy glue holding them together. That is a funny irony. I never thought of the crazy glue, like, crazy glue holding someone together. That's a funny joke. Ha 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 ha! But see, that would have no meaning on the internet nowadays. 10 years ago, that might have been a good joke, but nowadays, right over their heads. Because, they're all Trumpies, and they've got little tiny dicks, little tiny brains, little short stubby fingers. The world's really getting ugly. Alright, so let's see, Brett Keane outing by Pum Jam, or Jam Pumice, Japumice. Anyway, so yes, apparently some guy made friends with Brett Keane for a year and talked to him on Skype or phone or private and all this stuff, and was his fake friend just so he could record his conversations for this eventual ponage where he will out him as being a preposterous liar. Like everybody doesn't know that already, like Brett Keane isn't just got it on automatic. His whole personality is just... Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Brett Keane Show. I mean, he's just got that just running all the time. There's no... this is brought to you by... Did I mention Brett Keane? Or did I say Brett Keane? Did I let you know that this is something to do with Brett Keane? And this is entirely composed by Brett Keane, except for the parts just completely stolen off of Google. It's all about Brett Keane, and it's the Brett Keane Show. And, in there somewhere is some crap about God, but I don't believe any of that crap. Well, anyway, so anyway, who knows what the big reveal will be, because there really can't be, because like Fake Sagan, Brett Keane is this 1 minute he's one thing, 1 minute the next thing, 1 minute who cares? It's just and it's just this trolling for dollars kind of crap, as it appears to be. So the Jesus creep made some video, so maybe I'll play with that. Something about forgiving Hitler or something. So that might be worth some fun. But let's just point out who Jesus creep is. Jesus creep is this fake Christian who has a daughter, 16 years old, and he makes a pretty good living. He hates the whole social infrastructure. He's this big capitalist guy. Fuck the whole Jesus story about helping poor and doing all that kind of crap, or charity, or any kind of shit. It's every man for himself. Your wages should be as low as the number of people applying for the job. You deserve low wages, if you get them, because there's tons of high wage jobs, and it's your fault that you're not getting all those available high wage jobs. And that real kind of cunt. And he goes out and steals money from poor people. Goes out and puts up a fake charity thingy where he's pretending, essentially. I mean, all charities are based on the premise that we need the money, right? Nobody would expect it, like Ivanka Trump to say, "Oh, I broke my fingernail," and it's terrible, jagged and everything, and do a Patreon to pay for it. Or that she would adopt a cat, let's say, and then do a Patreon to have somebody pay, oh, look, my poor cat's hungry, look, oh, he doesn't have any food, what are you going to do? Oh, we have to do something. Of course she could buy it food. Of course Jesus Freak could take care of his own daughter. The funny thing is they're making me into some kind of horrible child abuser because I even bring this subject up and point it out. And the real abuse is just, could you imagine how you would feel if your parents have money and they wouldn't spend it on you? They wouldn't think you were worth it. You know, they would sit there and say, we have to go get the money from some public suckers because we don't want to pay for it. We don't love you enough to pay for it. We don't care enough about you to invest in you and care for you. And I'm the villain. It's just so fucking ironic. So again, let me just point that out. I always point I'll keep updates on Jesus Freak as a fucking a cheap petty criminal, and everybody should know that until he fesses up and gives the money back, because he just basically stole a bunch of money from people who can't afford it. He knows it. It was just a scam. He made people think they needed the money when they really didn't need the money. I mean, it's just a scam. Alright, get that out of the way. So yeah, I don't think I'll do the Jesus Freak reply video to the fact that we should forgive Adolf Hitler. I mean, on the surface, you're just saying, look, people don't even understand crime and punishment. And that comes up actually in this next subject, which is the fact that Olfan has been putting up my old videos from the Do Not God channel, and some of them really are quite funny. So maybe I'll link below to some, there's one with just my priceless naked butt in it, and, but some of them are just they really are quite funny. Anyway, well, there's so many of them, they don't even fit in here anymore. Anyway, but it's just kind of funny to see the old camera and just the old style of video. It's just it's kind of interesting. So anyway, where was I? So there was a video that I'll link to. That was a response video to one of TJ's videos, because he did this whole rant about how we're too cruel, we're too mean to the pedophiles, making them go to jail and stuff. And anyway, so this is the whole example of any idea of forgiving Hitler. There's no point in forgiving any perpetrator, because it's not about forgiving. It's the whole criminal justice system really only has one purpose, and that is to prevent people from thinking crime can pay. So you just have to make crime not pay, and that's all it's really about, because there's really no point after something happens in punishing the perpetrator beyond the fact that it would have some deterrent value and prevent future crime. But if it's not doing that, then yeah, you're just making more sadness and tragedy. You're just expanding the negative weight of the catastrophe, because yes, it will bear you no fruit. So yes, and obviously some sense of if you were to actually have some kind of forgive and forget kind of thing in society, or even some part of the criminal justice system that allowed people to repent. Yeah, the repent should be there, though. It should be a real repent, not like, oh yeah, so I'm sorry you're upset I killed a few Jews. I'm sorry you're upset. I'm not sorry I killed them. I'm just sorry you're upset about it. Those kind of repents. But you could argue that if somebody was sincerely remorseful, if you could ever detect what a sincere thing was, if you could ever find sincerity in people, clearly that would be a reason to forgive anything almost, because repent is, as Fake and Sagan points out, it's this reassessment, I did not realize kind of a statement, and it's basically saying, I was ignorant, and now I'm not, and now I can appreciate what an asshole I was, blah, 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 blah. And yes, obviously there's no point in punishing the new person, because it was the old person that committed the crime. But still, as a social necessity, you have to have this idea that punishment is assured. Now, for the Hitler types, I don't think there's any point, just because those kind of people are never going to feel vulnerable. They're always going to think they're going to die with their cause, like as Hitler did. They're never going to go to jail or something like that for their crimes if you were ever to prosecute them. They're either going to win entirely and be king of the world, or they're going to lose entirely and not be king of the world, and that's the game they're playing. So I don't think you're going to be able to deter those types. They're kind of fatalistic, and they really just don't care about your "what if I capture you" kind of notion, because they really don't think they're going to get captured. So you're not going to have much effect on them with whatever punishment you establish, and that's clearly your punishment can never fit the weight of the crime, and unless you start advocating for torture as punishments, and that would be bad on us if we ended up doing that. Because that's just a shortcut. That's like hacking arms off for shoplifting or something. It's too draconian. It might be effective, but it's just a little bit too ugly and nasty. Because you're always cutting the arms off idiots and insane people. Because those are the people, frankly, who commit crimes. You have to be an idiot or insane for most crimes. I mean, okay, the silly religion shit, having an abortion or something, yeah, that shouldn't get your whatever kicked in the vagina or whatever the punishment would be, because it's a non-crime, especially compared to the fact that people routinely torture and kill and consume very sentient mammals every day legally, and that's an abomination against our own intelligence. That hypocrisy to see value in a human fetus, that's just such a gross bigotry, Hofladay style bigotry. So anyway, that would be the blending into subject would be the videos of the week were mostly around trying to communicate with Hofladay, and there really was no point, and he was just playing the same liar's game. There's only 3 simple little points here. Suffering sucks and it matters. We all do it. All the brains that are conscious are experiencing. Experience has meaning and value. So those are the 2. And then the third thing is same, treated same. When he brought that back up again after we went over and over and over. Why is same the same? I mean, it's just the silliest argument. Why does something with the same properties deserve the same treatment? As if there's any other reason for things to be called same. It has the same properties. Of course it should be. If one thing deserves something because of those properties, then obviously the other thing has to deserve it because it has the same properties, for fuck's sake. And that deserve should have something to do with what your properties are, not who owns you. Children should not be treated differently based on who owns them. Does that make any sense to you assholes? Really? Can you logically make that any sense? You know that in a should universe, in a world where should gets realized, you know that children shouldn't be treated differently based on where they're born. For fuck's sake. Alright, probably enough of a video, but we'll see. I have to get that. A little bit of an add-on, I suppose. So I did watch this Jesus Freak Hitler, Forgive Hitler thing, and typical, Christian jibber-jabber, God will forgive you, and God is so much more forgiving than us, and we're just out for, to hurt people or something. No understanding of the system, dynamics, culture, civilization, and even the necessity of, again, there has to be a punishment, whether we want to forgive the guilty or not. Doesn't change the fact that the whole idea is to create deterrence, and if you forgive everybody, then there's no deterrence, and therefore you're fucked. And Jesus Freaks knows this, because his own argument is this hell essentially exists for that purpose. That's why God made it, is because lots of people would say, hey, who cares? I don't need your frickin' heaven. Shove your heaven up your ass. As long as there's no hell, I'll have fun and be done with you fuckers. Because, yeah, frankly, you haven't described a heaven worth going to. And even if you described one worth going to, I could still say, well, that's gravy. I don't need the gravy. I can eat the steak now, and I'll worry about the gravy later. I don't really give a shit. Send it to my wife, whatever. I don't need it. So yeah, it's all this stupid, idiotic. Religion is such stupid and dumb psychology. I mean, it just has the dumbest parts of human psychology are treated, you know, with the stupid 10 Commandments. 10 Commandments to say all the same thing. Just be a decent person, you could say. Don't, you know, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Well, obviously that takes care of murder and rape and pillage and all of that stuff, because you wouldn't want to be murdered and raped and pillaged. So you don't need all these 10 Commandments. It's just so simple and easy. But anyway, and the same thing with this forgiveness stuff. Yeah, obviously, if somebody's a new person, they repent for what they did. It was an accident, so to speak, an accident of a stupid moment of psychology or anger or passion or just plain stupidity. Then, yeah, there's no harm in forgiving them, except you break the system of justice in the sense of deterrence. And that's the mechanism that has to be kept. And well, anyway, so he's doing all. Then he ends the video with all this talk about how loving and forgiving Jesus and God are, and there's no evidence of that. They don't rescue anybody from prison. They force them to go to prison when they're innocent men. They don't save the innocent. They don't they don't extract the innocent from prison. They don't pull the innocent off the torture gurneys. They don't rescue them ever in this real world. And certainly so that brutality will have to be experienced here for certain. And you know, again, all this promise of something afterwards after you've tortured somebody, and these tortures are much worse than the torture Jesus endured, and certainly the torture of cancer can be much worse, and God doesn't rescue anybody from that. So in a sense, you could argue that, you know, you could come up with the worst terrorist known to mankind, and he still isn't as sadistic as God is, in the sense of what God allows happen to the innocents of the world, and has their skin burned off, has all kinds of horrible things happen to them. I think we all know that the people who end up you know, burned because an oil refinery blows up, they're not all sinners. They're all not being punished by some demon or Satan for some crime. No, they're perfectly innocent people, and God didn't protect them, and God isn't going to cure them, and God doesn't heal them, and doesn't do any of this shit. So all this crap, Jesus freak, you're an idiot, talking babble, selling nonsense, and you're doing it in this pretensive way as if you're going to heaven. You're a fucking con artist and a criminal. If there is a fucking heaven, you're not going to get in, you fucking cunt. Okay, because as he says, God's going to know your heart, and he's going to know that you didn't really love your daughter. And the fact is, you just didn't want to goddamn pay for her problems. Instead, you wanted to make it some society problem. When every time you get a chance to vote, you don't vote for that. So that was another little drama issue that showed up. Was Fake Sagan said, you know, was arguing with Brett Keane, and he's doing this thing about Fake Sagan just keeps emphasizing, I'm pro-choice, I'm pro-choice. Well, if you don't vote for it, then you're not pro-choice. You know, that's sort of one of those. It's obviously not very high up on your list of important things. It was more important for you to kick immigrant Muslims in the nuts, or wetbacks, or whoever you were attacking with your Trump vote. That was far more important to you than this idea of pro-choice. So you're clearly it's not a very that issue alone would be enough for me not to vote for a candidate, even if it was offering me free ice cream cones. You know what I mean, vegetarian ice cream. It wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't be able to seduce me into selling out on the pro-choice issue for some little bit of graft I might get out of it politically. It's one of those fundamental issues. You don't fuck with these basic principles that these religious cunts don't have any right to impose their religion. So he understands that concept. We Christians don't have a right to impose our bullshit on the secular community, but he has no passion for it. You know, he sold it out for you know, a bunch of grab 'em by the pussy and you know, I don't know what other rhetoric. I'll make friends with Putin, a silly person. Anyway, so people are just so full of shit. People, you know, people. Anyway, so he's going to do another video on how to deal with drama from the Jesus freak perspective, and that would be impressive also. But I won't. No point in boring you with this crap. Yeah, I did some of these amendment videos, though they are fun. So I will link to a couple. So there is the one on the amazing atheist on the pedophile subject that I thought I did. I thought I treated the issue pretty sensitively, but yeah, he was justifying in the past, you know, how we should lighten up on the pedophiles. It's no big deal. this child molesting thing. And you know, I sort of explained the impulse is no big deal. That's the truth of it. You know, lots of men find young women attractive, but most of them understand that it's manipulation and exploitation for them to do anything, to act on those desires. And TJ's just looking for excuses to be a glutton, to use children, he's not worried about their liberation. He's just worried about his opportunity to exploit. So that was pretty funny. And the Dung Poo video, where the hell is that? That's somewhere in here. So that's a pretty funny one too. Where's the Dung Poo video? There it is, Dung Poo. Yeah, I like that. This one's pretty funny. Give me a taste of it. This is a short one.
In the Dung Poo, Bazooka Joe says, be the banana, not the banana peel.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, you have to watch the list later. Yeah. But anyway, it's pretty funny. I wrote that. And then there's the other one. Where's the other one that's kind of funny? Oh, this one, yeah. This is kind of funny. This dating game one. No, this is the yeah, I love my sound effect. That's pretty good.
Hey everybody, it's me,
there's my butt.
back with another edition of Weird and Spiritual.
Yeah, okay. So I was making fun of math fails. Anyway, I forgot all about these videos. So anyway, the Rocky video was actually on the list, but there's no sound, so I gotta fix that one. So anyway, there's my graph physics video. So I had to make it twice, which was irritating. So, let's see. Oh, ratings are low. People didn't get it. Anyway, it was a pretty good, it's, 50 minutes, kind of a long summation, but I think it was a pretty good summation of why you don't need bent space. So, but yeah, it's pretty poor ratings, so I guess people ain't getting it again. People don't get anything. You can't, See, this is what, Einstein's stupid. Look, space, empty space is bent. Well, this isn't obviously empty if it has all this structure in it, and it's not exactly empty space, is it? So you shouldn't even call it space-time. You should call it whatever, ether time or some other kind of bullshit. But anyway, it is just bullshit. Alright. What else is there? I think not anything else of saying much about personally. I just think it's probably enough. I don't need to go into anything else. Probably enough of a video. Probably more than you needed because it's all kind of a weird time and gotta do something. Gotta break this somehow. This lock the idiots have on the universe. What people are consuming is just absolute crap. It have to make something better, more consumable. You have to make this rational soup more edible, however to say it. Anyway, so till next time and such. Adding on a little bit more. Yeah, lucky you. So anyway, just some strange stuff that just worthy of comment. So Brett Keane has made a couple of new videos. This is just drama commentary, not really drama, but sort of. Anyway, well, this one is just so obnoxious. Atheist Alfred Kinsley, pedophile, science fraud, and sexual predator. So he's playing some moral majority propaganda video. Using Kinsey's face and calling pedophiles. And basically the propaganda video is trying to insinuate that Kinsey was a pedophile and supported or somehow did something actively to help pedophiles or something. And Kinsey's just this, he's a sex researcher that did groundbreaking work in the sense that it actually tried to get an honest evaluations of exactly what people were doing sexually. How many men had cucumbers up their ass and all that kind of crap. And some of it had, in my opinion, kind of value because it sort of broke open the lies that all these people are pretending to have these morally upright lives And it sort of explained why there's 2 million abortions and all the rest of the stuff going on. Like, all these people apparently aren't having these perfectly upstanding lives. Anyway, so it was, it's just such a grotesque piece of propaganda. Like, not one piece of hard evidence. Just some old lady goes through papers and then testifies to what she interprets it to mean, is that, well, there's a reference in the documentation that says, well, these two people were having incest and they were happy, and so therefore Kinsey wrote that and endorsed that and said that's the way people should live, when none of that happened. It's just obviously the researchers going by a standard, and they say, is this working for people or not working, based on whether the people are also alcoholic or some other lifestyle thing. Well, anyway, I don't want to explain how statistical research works, but it's just a disgusting implication that because the research comes out a certain way, Kinsey is guilty of the crimes other people might be committing. I mean, it's just an amazing... So anyway, so this is coming from Brett Keane, this whiner, this perpetual whiner, that he has been misunderstood and mistreated. And then he sits there and puts the word pedophile next to another fucking person's name and shoves their face and takes ownership of their face and does this bullshit. So what does he deserve for that? What do you deserve for that, Brett? I mean, realistically, somebody should. I mean, I just don't have low enough character to play in your sewage pit. So I'm not going to do this shit. I mean, I'm not going to play this cheap philosophy of Photoshop. And that's all you are. You're just a Photoshopper. And then you bitch because somebody Photoshops you into a manatee. They should have Photoshopped you into the maggot that you fucking goddamn are. But regardless. Cat's wheezing a little. Getting old. You get wheezy when you get old. Yeah, it's happening here too. Anyway, yeah, it's just such bullshit. So yeah, somebody should do it. Somebody should just put your image on a video, insinuate that you're a pedophile, that you're molesting your daughter, and that's why she's in the bed with you, right? I mean, you can hear her snoring and shit. I mean, she's obviously sleeps with you. And just insinuate. Don't prove. Don't use evidence. You know, you're whining because people are bringing up factual evidence. I mean, there's evidence, okay? There's sworn testimony that you beat your fucking wife. And your explanation is, somebody must have been lying. I wonder who it was. Was it me or was it her? Because one of you is a fucking liar. Neither one of you wants to admit it. Okay, fine. But one of you lied. God damn. Not complicated, Brett. Yeah. This is just such a bullshit. You're a fucking... You just can't get it worse, you whiner, that you'd play this game. I mean, it's just a disgust. I mean, really, if the video had some kind of evidence, but again, there's absolutely no evidence presented to imply that Kinsey supported child molestation. Absolutely no evidence. Just disgusting. So anyway, then I'm watching this video, but it's just boring because it's this fake Sagan crap. So yeah, fake Sagan makes 2 videos, and one of them is just insane, which is not uncommon for a fake Sagan video. So here it is. It's a very fake Sagan Christmas. So he's doing this melodramatic statement that only has been around forever. I mean, there's you can go back to, you know, with Natalie Wood. Natalie Wood's, I think it was one of her first movies, or major movies anyway, roles. You know, this stupid Santa Claus going to jail or something, whatever, going to the insane asylum, you know, whatever that thing is called. I don't remember. Parade thing, whatever. Anyway, that Santa Claus has to go to court story. And, you know, even in that, there's this little scene where the little janitor guy is being the fake Santa Claus, and he does a little speech about the commercialism and the blah, 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 blah. And the whole theme of the video was basically about all this commercialism and Macy's versus Gimbals and the blah, blah, blah. And, yeah, so that's been around forever. And so Fakey makes this way over dramatic video about how we blow up Christmas and blah, 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 blah. And yes, blow up all this nonsense and these fairy tales. The thing that should really blow Christmas up is the idea that human beings can't figure out that doing this one day out of 365 is got to be about as lame can be. The fact that you have to make a special day to actually be a decent human being. Oh, we can only be decent one day out of the year. That's all we can muster. The rest of the time it's all this selfish debauchery stuff. It's just grotesque anyway. This whole Jesus story sucks. The whole idea of having a holiday, it's just nonsense. It's just trivial and silly. And we ought to be free, get free of this stupid fairy tale holidays. You know, Leprechaun Day. I mean, fuck this shit. That's all it is. But anyway, this whole over-dramatic, you know, the nuclear bombs and speaking Russian and, you know, yelling in his crazy voice. I mean, just terrible. Anyway, and so then he makes this other video about Brett Keene's reaction. And he really does think his video... No, I saw the Brett Keane one, the one I didn't see. Yeah, this is the fake Sagan one. Yeah, I'll never club a baby seal, which I haven't gotten to how that's relevant here yet. But I don't think I will. But he really thinks the video he made poning the DP was some kind of actual ponage. Like there was just some kind of like he actually dented somebody in some way. And there's no dents in there anywhere. And again, this is in the context of, you know, TJ has said so many outrageous things okay, so there's the obvious thing of the fact that he's just constantly collecting money for fake, you know, whoa, snow, evil, ew, God, that's gross. Oh, cat. Fuck you, I'm going back to bed. Well, I don't know what to tell you. You shouldn't have woke up. You wake up, you pay a price for it. I keep telling you that. Don't wake up. It's the secret to living. But don't die, because as soon as you die, you're going to end up in fucking Indonesia. You're going to be a fucking Indonesian cat. So you got to try to stay alive as long as you can, just so you don't wake up in Indonesia and say, oh, fuck. Oh, God, my parents are lunatics. They're fucking... I live in hell. I've been born in hell. Anyway... So yeah, I'm so all for blowing the world up, but I'm just saying not because of Christmas. There's much better reasons to blow the fucking planet to hell because people are stupid assholes believing in fairy tales. So anyway, fake singing is just so full of shit, you know. I believe it's the truth, but I can't possibly invest in it. I can't muster any confidence. I believe it, but I don't believe it so dramatically that I can't possibly invest in it. I wonder if you said something like, I wonder if you could make a deal. Like the only way your daughter could get into heaven is you have to get in. Maybe that might be a way for some of these people. I mean, obviously people like Brett Keane, I don't think he gave a shit about his kids. He just talks the talk, no walking of any kind of walk. You know, because he's harmed them so brutally. All the dysfunctional life they've lived. You know, having parents so embarrassingly, humiliatingly debaucherous. He used to be a wife swapper, you know. Come on, go in or out. I'm not going to play this fucking game. Yeah, you go outside. It's not going to kill you. It's fucking, you've seen snow before. Oh, fucking cat. Does this every morning now. You know, starting at about 4 o'clock. So that's why I'm awake now, is because I said, fuck it. Because he's just going to wake me up anyway. So my whole sleeping pattern is broken. And it's really been... I'm under-rested substantially all the time. I feel like shit. And it's not a good way to feel. But anyway, so where was I? Brett Keane is such a scumbag. But that wasn't the subject. It was fake Sagan being a douchebag. Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, so but that's like yeah. So I was going to suggest that if the only way your kids could get into heaven was if you got in, then people might, you know, people actually love their kids. That would be a pretty strong incentive for them to walk the right road, because their kids will be cursing them from hell, you know, and that would be sort of interesting. So that would have been a good gimmick for the Bible to shove in there if they really wanted to make it work. You know, it would be tie something else to it, like your parents will end up in hell if you misbehave, or your kids will end up in hell if you misbehave, something kind of catch like that. Because people will do something for others that they won't do for themselves, and that's the truth. At least somewhat decent people will. But again, I wouldn't put it past Fake Sagan or Brett Keane to, talk the talk and never walk the walk. But anyway, I mean, they can't even walk simple walks like pointing out that Jesus Freak did run a con. They can't even do that because they're afraid of losing the friendship of a Jesus Freak. I mean, here's this fraud. He runs a fucking con. Okay, collects money from people much poorer than himself to pay for his child's medical bills. Not some orphan, not some dog that showed up at their doorstep, not some extra inconvenient thing that showed up in their life, but the natural thing, the thing that happens when you have children. You have children, they're a responsibility, they're going to cost you money. And he wants to evade that, and he gets a bunch of poor people to foot the bill. I mean, what can you call that other than a disgusting fraud? Fuck. But they can't do it. They don't have enough. There's not enough honesty in this tub of shit to point that truth out. Maybe because they don't want to admit that they got duped, but whatever the reason is, they obviously don't give a fuck about the truth. Because there's a truth here, and they just keep running away from it. They're not even running. They're just pretending. I'm just going to pretend it doesn't exist. I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. They're just in they're little bubble heads. This is a great image. It's like, yes, this is the perfect way not to stay in reality, is just put your bubble on, your bubble head, and be a little bubble head, your little fake bubble head, bubble head. Yes, stay in the bubble. Do not go voyage into reality. People are just so fucking creepy. Oh, that reminds me of Piro. Piro made a fucking video. So, I'll have to work on that one, too. This quantum mechanics crap and some bullshit oil droplet nonsense, totally misunderstood. These people, all of a sudden, when they're trying to prove a point, they all of a sudden forget things like harmonics. They forget all kinds of, really crude mechanical things people knew about hundreds of years ago. When they were making violins and shit. They knew what a goddamn harmonic was, and all of a sudden these nuclear physicists can't figure it out. So it took 3 times for him to look out the door before he decided, okay, I'll go out there. Now he's just looking around. Come on. Get decisive. That's it. Right in the middle of the walkway. That's the spot. Yeah. Dig a hole right there in the middle of the path. Yep. So I can step in it. Oh, now you might be able to see him now. Hey, look. He's going to piss there, and then he might poo somewhere else, but anyway, he's really very good for an old cat. He still knows how to do it right. Anyway, where was I think I'm done. That's where I am. So I don't know whether there's anything in here worth responding to, but it's just more stuff where he keeps claiming that quantum mechanics has all this perfect math, and it doesn't. The formulas don't produce the experimental results. I've attempted to point that out, and they don't want to hear it. So it's just, this is just such bullshit. They're conceptually retarded. They're living in unicorn and I keep using the little green man, leprechaun land, and they just don't want to leave their little Smurf village, and have to deal with reality. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, the whole world is just eating, living, feeding on bullshit. And it just couldn't, I thought it was going to get better. I didn't think it would get, like I said, the whole idea of electing Donald Trump, I mean, it's worse than a professional wrestler. I'd have more respect for America if they elected a professional wrestler than a fucking insane egomaniacal billionaire. Is what that just represents. I mean, a guy who just had every advantage, every cheat in life, and did nothing extraordinary except propagandize about how great he is, and they bought it. I mean, it's the most amazing fraud ever perpetrated. Donald Trump would be, he'd be living in a cardboard box if it wasn't for his daddy. Damn true. He'd be stuck in a trailer with Snake Plisskenus. You know, it's just, he'd be fucking Brett Keane. Yeah, that's Donald Trump without the money, right there. That's what money will do. It'll keep a maggot in good suits. That's all that matters. So anyway, I don't think there's anything else to say here, but this drama sucks. I mean, it's just as lame could be, and you know, it's not about anything important. Like I said, to see with TJ, I was trying to get to that point that besides the fraud, I mean, you have the idea that he basically has justified rape. Is no big deal. Get over it, bitches. And he's basically said that a little pedophilia here and there, what's the big deal? You know, it's consensual. And I would argue, yeah, that would be really nice if that's how it really worked. I mean, if people had any kind of sustained relationships and gave a shit, if it was true love, who would argue with true love? But that's not what it is. And people, I mean, you know, get real. It's just exploitation, and it wears off as soon as, you know, as soon as the kid hits 8 years old. All of a sudden, he's too old for them. You know, I mean, come on, this is bullshit. Evil bullshit. But it also just points out how we're made out of bullshit. That the nature of the animal is just brutally awful. You know, we are just such selfish, compulsive organisms, and the only thing that can save you from that is understanding that, you know, it's not leprechauns. There's real forces that are turning your gears, and you can understand those real forces, the real biological forces. Your ancestors were mud skippers. Okay, they lived and ate mud, for fuck's sake. You know, we have, you know, that's our origin is really disgusting animals doing disgusting things. And that's the truth. And recognizing that is the first step to rising above it. And all these assholes aren't dealing with that reality. They're running from it. And again, they're not running from it. They're hiding from it. You gotta get that right. Alright, anyway, enough of a commentary. Shit. I just really hate that. This is just such a shitty, just so shitty. The quality of the interactions possible on this fucking medium is just so fucking disappointing. There is just nothing, you know, that has any kind of, you know, there's no Schwarzenegger of YouTube to, you know, there's nothing tough here. This is all pussy shit. I mean, pussy fucking lame shit. Almost psychotic pussy, which, you know, yeah, really. Anyway, no point. Till next time. Such, so forth and whatnot. I think that's all. I think that's enough. Mostly.